Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tombstone Tourist. This week, I'm continuing my visit to Northern Virginia with a stop at the Fairfax Memorial Park. Being located just a few miles outside of our nation's capital, this very large cemetery is the final resting place of a number of our country's most notable citizens. Today, as has been the theme for the past few videos, I'm going to be visiting the grave of a political figure that gained notoriety during the administrations of President Richard Nixon and again during the administration of President Ronald Reagan. Today, I'm going to be visiting the final resting place of Judge Robert Bork. Robert Bork was born on March 1st, 1927 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He attended Hotchkiss High School in Lakeville, Connecticut, where he later recalled that he spent most of his time there reading books and arguing with people. Despite this, he managed to graduate and went on to attend the University of Chicago. He graduated in 1948 with a Bachelor of Arts degree and enrolled in the University of Chicago Law School. About halfway through law school, he dropped out for a period of time and enlisted in the United States Marines, serving a 2-year stint during the Korean War. After his service in the Marines, Bork returned to law school, graduating in 1953. In 1954, he entered private practice where he worked until 1962, when he left his practice and joined the faculty of Yale University. He taught at the Yale University Law School from 1962 until 1973, and again from 1977 until 1981. Among Bork's students at Yale was John Bolton, California Governor Jerry Brown, Anita Hill, and 2 people named Bill and Hillary Clinton. His career as a law professor was interrupted in 1973 when he was appointed Solicitor General in the Justice Department. During his term as Solicitor General, he argued several cases before the United States Supreme Court. He was so impressive that Chief Justice Warren Burger once called Bork the most effective counsel to appear before the court during his tenure on the bench. In October of 1973, the administration of President Richard Nixon was plagued by the Watergate scandal. Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox had requested that Nixon turn over any and all recordings of Oval Office conversations. Nixon refused and initially ordered Attorney General Elliot Richardson to fire Cox. Richardson refused and immediately resigned. Nixon then ordered Assistant Attorney General William Ruckelshaus to fire Cox. Ruckelshaus also refused and resigned. With Richardson and Ruckelshaus out of the picture, Solicitor General Robert Bork was next in line. Nixon again demanded that Bork fire Cox. Bork complied. This entire episode was known as Nixon's Saturday Night Massacre. Bork claimed that he carried out the orders under pressure from Nixon and intended to resign immediately afterwards. But Richardson and Ruckelshaus persuaded him to stay for the good of the Justice Department. Bork remained acting Attorney General until the appointment of William B. Saxby on January 4th, 1974. Bork later claimed that Nixon had promised to nominate him for the next vacant position on the United States Supreme Court. However, Nixon resigned the presidency because of Watergate before William O. Douglas retired from the court. President Gerald Ford, in turn, nominated John Paul Stevens to fill the vacant seat on the High Court. In 1982, President Ronald Reagan nominated Bork to a seat on the United States Circuit Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. He was confirmed by the Senate on a voice vote. In 1986, President Ronald Reagan had the opportunity to fill 2 vacancies on the High Court. When Chief Justice Warren Burger announced his retirement, Reagan nominated Associate Justice William Rehnquist to become Chief Justice. Reagan then considered nominating Judge Bork for Rehnquist's vacant seat, but chose instead to nominate Judge Bork's colleague on the D.C. Circuit, Justice Antonin Scalia. In 1987, Associate Justice Lewis Powell announced his retirement, which gave President Reagan yet another opportunity to fill a vacancy on the High Court. This time, Ronald Reagan nominated Robert Bork. When his Senate confirmation hearings began, many thought that his confirmation would be quick and without opposition, since he had been confirmed to his seat on the D.C. Circuit by a simple voice vote. But nothing was further from the truth. His nomination met with strong opposition from civil and women's rights groups who were concerned with some of his rulings while he was sitting on the Circuit Court of Appeals. His confirmation hearing became so contentious that it became obvious that his nomination was doomed. But Reagan refused to withdraw the nomination, and on October 23, 1987, the Senate refused to confirm Robert Bork to a seat on the United States Supreme Court by a vote of 58 to 42. After Judge Bork's failed nomination, President Reagan nominated Douglas Ginsburg, but he withdrew from consideration before a vote by the Senate. Ultimately, Justice Anthony Kennedy was nominated and confirmed by the Senate. Judge Bork's Senate hearings were so angry and contentious that they coined a new verb. Now, it's routine to hear people in politics say, "We're going to bork him," or "They got borked." Following his failed Supreme Court nomination, Judge Bork resigned his seat on the D.C. Circuit. He went on to become a law professor at George Mason University and a visiting professor at the University of Richmond School of Law. Judge Robert Bork passed away from the complications of heart disease on December 19, 2012. He was 85 years old. Following his death, his friend and colleague, Associate Justice Antonin Scalia, referred to Judge Bork as one of the most influential legal scholars of the past 50 years, a good man, and a loyal citizen. Justice Scalia passed away in 2016 and is resting just a short distance from Judge Bork in this same cemetery. I'm going to end this video here at the grave of Judge Robert Bork. Do any of you remember the Watergate Saturday Night Massacre? How about those angry Senate hearings that Judge Bork had to endure for his nomination to the Supreme Court? If you do, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Now, until next time, please remember, life is a wonderful journey. Be sure to take time and enjoy it. And I'll see you down the road. So long, everybody.